Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Another week has gone by and another week we're closer to Christmas. I'm very, very excited. The kids are getting super excited about this upcoming season and I can't wait to obviously celebrate and actually continue to unwind as this year comes to an end. So I'm just, as I normally do, going to share a couple of these lives across to other groups. And the gorgeous Kitty Cheng that has joined this morning actually requested this topic over an inbox on Facebook, and I hadn't come up with the topic yet for this morning. So I thought, why not? Why not? Someone gives me an idea as to what I can do in terms of a topic. I will take it and I will talk on that for half an hour. So this morning, Kitty said, oh, can you please do one of your UBS lives as to how we pull together the content of our half-day workshop? And good morning, Jenny, and Scott and Warren. Lots of people coming on live. Awesome. Let me just share this in Ultimate Business Support. I'm just doing that on my computer, and then I'm going to share it in All For Your Way to Riches, and then you've got my full attention. So yeah, this morning Kitty said, can you please do and talk about how you develop your content and how does someone pull it all together, and how do you need to think about delivering it? Are there any tips in delivery? And of course, obviously, taking people to their very next step. So I'm going to talk about all of that over the next half an hour, except I'm just going to do one more share. And that way we're live in 2 of my groups and on my personal profile. Boom. By the way, thanks so much, everybody, for the love and the well wishes around my mum joining the business. As I posted yesterday, we spent 3 hours on Saturday and 3 hours on Sunday doing some bookkeeping training, Dropbox, all that kind of stuff. So it's a really exciting time for us, but also, yeah, gearing up to a very big 2018. Half of our year's flights are booked and everything is happening. Hey, Adam. Good morning, Christian. So lots of people come on live. So let's get stuck into it, guys. So okay, so we all have heard and talked about the sales funnel many times before. And happy Monday, Amy. And there's different trains of thought in terms of how you win over a client where you're working with them at the highest level. Now, at the very beginning, when I started out in business, I thought, oh my God, the whole point was I need to get coaching clients. Obviously, I did a coaching course, and my whole thing was now I have to find those coaching clients. And actually, the biggest mistake that I made in the first 12 months is that my call to action in my workshops, speaking gigs was always, hey, come and work with me over 3, 6, or 12 months, which was my coaching packages. And that didn't work. No wonder it didn't work, because these guys, even though they may have gotten immense value out of hearing me speak or do the workshop, the jump was actually quite high. And also I was very inexperienced in terms of what I should present and how I should present it. So I didn't have a lot of social proof or, things that I could say, hey, this is what I've done for these people and all that sort of stuff. So in the early days, I believe we inexperienced probably as salespeople or in terms of selling our own thing, but also we don't have as much credibility. And this is why I'm such a big fan in people building up their credibility and social proof as soon as possible and collecting as many of those early testimonials as possible. So every single person I used to work with, it was really important for me to ask for feedback, video testimonial, written testimonial, all that kind of stuff. And this is why a lot of my guys that I help with who are just starting out, I recommend, hey, write a book, then you get famous. Because there's really 2 ways of thinking about this. Write a book and get famous, or get famous then write a book. And my journey has been of the one where you write a book, then you get famous. Why I wrote the book was obviously because I felt that I didn't have any social proof. I didn't have testimonials and all this feedback and glitzy stuff. So I thought, if I write a book, at least I can say I'm an author and I've written on this particular topic. So building up, so before, I know it's kind of like, what are you talking about here? Like, we're here to talk about developing content for a teaser workshop. But really, you got to collect what your bits and pieces are going to be when you pull together your half-day workshop. Or it doesn't have to be a half-day workshop. It could be a 2-day event. It could be a 2-hour workshop. Now, I've always said to people that depending on how long you speak in front of people, it should be well calibrated in terms of your call to action. So if you're only doing a 15-minute presentation somewhere, you might only offer something up to $100 as the next step. If you're speaking for 2 or 3 hours, it depends, where you are at in this game, all right, and how experienced you are, because we've seen entrepreneurs sell into a $4,000 or $5,000 program of a 45-minute speech. But if you're saying, 0 to 5 years period, the shorter the period of time that you have in front of people, the smaller the call to action should be. So the longer you spend, like if you spend a day or 2 days, then you can go for your maximum, because what happens is the longer you have with people, the more you establish yourself as the expert, and the more and the more time and rapport that you have to build, and the more value that you have to be able to demonstrate to people. So one thing I don't want to sort of kind of give people the wrong idea of is that not every single person can sell like what we do, a $20,000 program of a $49 half-day workshop. I'll tell you a couple of reasons why that possibly is working for us and why it may not work for everybody, is because our workshop is highly targeted. So for example, I'm the ultimate 48-hour author. If I did a half-day workshop where people came to learn about how to boost your credibility, and I didn't talk about this is actually about you writing a book, that particular workshop would not have as great a result, because most of the time people probably not thinking about writing a book to boost their credibility. Maybe they just don't know what they don't know. So what our workshops have always been called, our half-day workshops, is Ultimate 48-Hour Author, Blueprint for Business Success, or Ultimate 48-Hour Author Book Writing. I don't know, Stuart's come up with a couple of, but anyway, in the title, so the title is super important, because it's in the title that we're attracting people who are already actively thinking about writing a book. And of course, if they're in business, we're also saying, hey, this is for business success. So if you're kind of not a business owner, you're not really an actual fit for us. So we're kind of disqualifying people who are not thinking about authoring, and those who are non-business owners. So when we get into a room of workshop participants, we already have a very highly qualified group. Okay, so that's the one thing that you have to think about your own workshop is it coming from a more ambiguous standpoint, and then you're gonna get people from a point of I don't know what I don't know to oh shit, I need this stuff, right? Or are you going to be kind of really point blank obvious that they're coming to solve a specific problem, which is for us authoring? I have also been told by many people around, like even overseas and here, that what I've been doing, going from the $49 workshop to the high-end program, has also been really unprecedented. Not many people, usually book writing companies or other courses, they deliver a two-day event, 3-day event sometimes, and then they go into their half-day. So how do you ensure you have a highly qualified group in the room now? Obviously, targeting on Facebook is really important, Kitty. And of course, the name of your workshop, like what is it? So the name, let's talk about the name of your workshop. So like kind of, you gotta kind of start with the end in mind, and then work on all of the components that are gonna be in your workshop. So with the, with the, was I going to talk about the name? I think I was going to talk about the name. I started answering your question, Kitty. All right, so the name is super important. The name needs to deliver results in advance. So have that feeling that when someone has attended your event, your workshop, they feel like they will receive certain results in advance, okay? And the example I can only relate it to my own workshop and maybe something else that I've seen out there, but mine being called Ultimate 48-Hour Author Blueprint for Business Success kind of promises that you're going to learn how to write a book in 48 hours. And certainly the participants walk out of the room knowing exactly what the system and the process is. Obviously, the ones that proceed, they hire us to, go deeper into the system. Others may go and give it a go themselves, although most of the time they never do, okay? Because it was just a good idea at the time. Great, I learned lots of awesome tips. But the workshop name, if that can promise results in advance, like in terms of when I go here, I'm going to come home and I have learned this. So how to, my first brand that I ran, how to lose the last 10 kilos, again, specific, measurable, it's got a number, and you feel like, okay, if I've attended this event, I'm going to learn some steps and strategies on how to lose the last 10 kilos. So could your workshop have something numerical in it? Okay, I love numbers. You guys know that a lot of my titles and even book titles, I use numbers and obviously in my branding. So I always say, what is the number that, is it something that someone can achieve in the next 90 days? Is it something that can be achieved in the next 7 days? How to declutter your house in your full house in under 7 days, or something along those lines for Amy, because I know Amy always is on UBSLives, and and I think she was recently selling something like 1 hour pull down your Christmas tree after your after the season's over, and she offers that as an offer. So in your offer, it doesn't even have to be the workshops. How can it promise, especially if it's a low-end offer where you're getting people into your funnel, how can it promise results in advance? Okay, so think about that. How can I promise results in advance? Okay, so think, what will that be for me? It could be time, it could be money. Most of the time it's time and money around those two numbers. Or like, months, or actually kilos. Kilos is another one. Hours, minutes, whatever that thing is. Because people love to buy into a system. They love to know that something is wrapped up in a nice little package, and when I go through this little package and from start to finish, I'll solve all my problems around this problem. So they don't like it to be open-ended, to be wishy-washy, to be fluffy. We buy into something that has a measurable outcome. So that's really important. Now let's go into the content of the workshop. So when you're developing your workshop, work backwards again. So what is your actual ultimate call to action? What is it that you want people to value and believe? Okay, because people buy what we value. Okay, so I value writing a book and then building your credibility and leveraging it and all that kind of stuff. So when I'm delivering the content of my half-day workshop, that is everything that I'm talking about. It's the best thing since sliced bread to do that, right? And I believe in it wholeheartedly, because number one thing, I guess mindset would be the number one thing, even before your title and all that sort of stuff. Your mindset has to be that you're so sold on your thing that, you would think everyone else is crazy not to have bought into it, right? You have to be so sold on your thing. If you're kind of going, I'm not sure, maybe my thing is too expensive, maybe who would want it, maybe it's not as good as person A's and person B's and all that kind of stuff, The minute you start having those doubts of uncertainty, a lack of confidence, you've lost every single sale that potentially could be yours. So you need to believe that your thing is the best thing ever out there. You need to believe that you're the world leader in delivering the thing that you're delivering, the solution to the problem that you are solving. Okay, because if you don't, people are not going to, they're going to energetically feel it within themselves, and they're going to go, I don't know about this. This person doesn't seem like, like really into it. So they always say it's actually not so much what we sell, is how we come across with what it means, right? Means to us. Are we selling it, or are we talking about it with energy, with enthusiasm, with passion, right? Or are we just kind of going there scared shitless and going, oh, I'm not sure about this. I'm going to, what if they don't like me? And all of those thoughts are just a waste of time and a repellent for potential raving fans that you can have in your business. So first of all, you got to check yourself that you're sold on your thing. Isabel started the Denman. Got it. Excellent. Thank you for the comments, you guys. Keep them coming, and keep questions coming as well. All right, so then content. So you're starting from the end in mind. So what's the thing that people are going to buy, you want them to buy, at the end of your presentation, of your workshop, whatever you want to get them to, right? Because realistically, when you think about it, a teaser workshop, an introduction to what you do is only really the tip of the iceberg. But what I say is pull out the absolute best things that you could show someone and put them into your half-day presentation. Give them the solution, like give them it. And sometimes people go, oh my God, what if I give them that and they're going to go do it themselves? They're not. Trust me, they are not. Because in how many years? For probably 130 times I've done my half-day workshop. I can count on less than a handful the people that went away from that half-day workshop and then actually followed through to actually write their book. Okay, which is really, really sad, because these are all people who've come and gone, I'm so desperate, this is it, I have to do it, right? And they don't. They'll learn, they'll get inspired for the afternoon or morning, and they'll go off, and life's going to get in the way because they didn't commit all the way. And I'm the same. If I don't commit after I've been to an introductory seminar, if I read a book and I don't follow through and actually find out what the whole process is, I don't really follow through or get results in that area, because it's not maybe where I want to be spending time and energy. Because if I didn't go all the way, really that problem is not quite as painful to solve. But all of those people that have invested $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to do their programs, you reckon I did the work? Bloody hope I did the work. I did it in record time. I usually complete people's courses in half the time that they give you to do it. So it's an 8-week online program, I'll do it in 4. That's the one I did earlier this year. My coaching course, I did it instead of 2 years, in 11 months. So I'm that invested financially and time-wise, and I want to solve a problem desperately, and then I do the work. So give them the what, but not the how. So Lisa, yes, you can give them the what, and even I give them the how. How do you write a book in 48 hours? I go do this, hire a transcriptionist, speak it out, then tidy up your transcripts, then you go into editing. I tell them all about the editing process. I tell them what to look for, who to go with, who not to go with, what questions to ask, what questions not to ask. And I even say, if you want, go find whoever you need help. But if you want it all done in one place, it's just done for you with people we've already checked out and done over 220 times now, then come and do it with us, because it's all under one umbrella, right? So you're so glad I attended my half-day workshop and went all the day to write the book within a couple of months. Exactly, Kitty. So you're a perfect example of someone who attended the half-day workshop, progressed, went all the way, and then did it in such a rapid period. So in the half-day workshop or whatever presentation you have, I love when people put in 3 learning objectives, if you want to call it. So in my one, I talk about book positioning, and I demonstrate a book unpack. So not only, Lisa, do I give them how to do your book in 48 hours, I even show them how to unpack a book, how to make it sexy, so they walk away with a skeleton and they can do it for themselves. The only thing that I don't show outside of, say, on my system is a chapter unpack, because it just would be too tedious and just too lengthy. You know, I want to get them to see the big picture rather than going and getting stuck into detail. So we are keeping it highly conceptual, because if you get people bogged down into detail at early stages, they're going to get confused, and a confused mind will always say no. So you want to keep it highly conceptual. You want to keep it, light and easy. This is easy to do. When I signed up with my coaching course, the very first high-end thing that I did, obviously sign up with my coaching course for 15 grand. The marketing, the sales marketing was earn 6 figures working part-time hours, right? Sounds easy, right? It's like, wow, dream life. I can be a mom and do all of these things and all. Was that the reality? No, it wasn't. Can it be the reality? Yes, after a few years of very hard work and double full-time, and testing and measuring, figuring out what the hell am I doing, and getting a degree in marketing and sales as well as coaching. However, at the front end, when I was dealing with everyone to sign up to this particular course, it was the dream. So we are selling, obviously, the dream. Every single person should sell the dream, because if you don't sell the dream, you're never going to get to do the work with the client, right? So, in Ultimate 48 Hours, we sell the dream of being famous. We sell the dream of, this is easy. It can be super fast. It can be just done in one weekend and all that sort of stuff. And it's all the truth. But is there a little bit more work to do to leverage this book? Yes, there is. So, all the strategies that come beyond the book are more. But at the initial stages of initial presentations, half-day workshops, where people are just getting to know you, like you, and trust you, you have to keep it highly simple, highly conceptual, and you can give them the solution. The fact is, a lot of people don't get, basically there's no time to teach them the intricate details that go in the solutions that you're sharing. So it's actually impossible to go really deep, because you just don't have the time, and you're not gonna, and as I said, you're gonna get them overwhelmed, and overwhelmed people don't go to the next step. So my workshop, as I said, I demonstrate a book unpack, and I talk about book positioning. I talk about the publishing industry, the pros and cons, traditional publishing, self-publishing, Ultimate 48-Hour Author. And then the last thing is I talk about how you leverage your business through a book. And then, of course, comes the call to action. Now, my call to action does not take a very long time. Literally, I play a video of my retreat experience, and then I invite people to qualify at the end of the half day. Now, at the very beginning of the workshop, so if I can just kind of go into stages, you do the, I'm a very big believer in being on the ground with the people, okay? I'm not the type of person who hides away in a separate room. I let my crew welcome people and register them and do all of that sort of stuff, and all of a sudden, like a famous rock star, I turn up from the back of the room or something like that. That's not me. I actually want to be right down. I don't have to be doing the registrations if it's not required, but actually, because when people come into my half-day workshop, I give them a copy of my book and I personally sign it for them, so I pre-fill out everything but their name. And I am at the registration table because I want to shake their hand. I want to say, hello, I'm Natasa. Here's your personally signed book. And I give it to them, and then they take a seat, give them maybe, go grab a coffee, start to get even small talk, a little banter, give them some instructions, make them feel welcome, let them know what the logistics are. And of course, I train my crew, but I want to be there, kind of welcome, because those first impressions as well what I feel that does for me is makes me more approachable, like that I'm not going to hide away and they can't come and just ask me a question afterwards. I want to leave a kind of like almost like that open door policy. Now, some of you might think, what if other people, you know, take advantage of that and they're too needy and all that kind of stuff? Well, that's really a limiting belief. A limiting belief around who, you know, what people, you know, if you have boundaries, you can communicate those. And I have never found to be overwhelmed by people. Of course, I want to be, when I'm there in my workshop, I want to be with the people the whole time, from start to finish, until I'm packing up and going home. Okay, after that I can have my own me time and all that kind of stuff, and relax and depressurize and all that kind of stuff. However, I'm at the front, all, you know, welcoming people, shaking hands, making small talk. It's really important. Stuart's going to come on the road with me next year. He will be there from those moments. We've always have found the relationship and the rapport starts way before the workshop begins. So as they have walked in, and you kind of can possibly remember some people's names, when you actually open up the workshop, you already feel a little bit of warmth from the audience. They're not like, who are you now? We've met you, and kind of thing, you know. And you might have had some conversations with people. You might have said something. They might have asked you something. You can connect that somewhere naturally throughout the workshop, which makes everything a lot more personal. Okay, so then the workshop begins, and the first thing I actually get people to do is talk to each other. And there are 3 golden questions that I always have. And every event I do these. You know, why are you here today? What's your biggest challenge when you think about writing a book? For me, whatever it is for you, what will happen if you do nothing about it? And I put them up, and I said, okay, turn to the buddy next to you in groups of 2 or 3 and talk about these. And then we'll unpack them together as a group. Because then you get to find out, it's a bit of research as well. It's a bit of research to find out why people come to you anyway. And this research of the answers of all of these 3 questions, you should be using as your marketing copy in your Facebook advertising, in your emails, in everything that you're putting out there. I can tell you, after 130 events, I can almost read people's minds. Well, I can read their minds, because when I've asked those 3 questions for my specific workshop, every single time the exact same answers come up. So as human beings, we're not all that dissimilar to each other. 130 different groups of people gave me the exact same answers to those 3 questions. And I still to this day pretend like I don't know what they're going to say. Because I want them obviously to come up with those answers. I don't want to like put them and list them on the board. I want them to come up with those answers, because I know what they are, but I want them to start thinking and getting involved, and also to talk amongst each other, because then they're building rapport between one another. It's a great networking way, so it adds more value to the event as well. But then they're also you know, thinking actively. And at this stage, what we're doing is we're building up the pain and then building up the pleasure, okay, as well. So we're leveraging pain. Why are you here? What's your biggest challenge when you're thinking about writing a book, and what will happen if you don't do anything about it? So those 3 are pain and pleasure, because people need reasons before they want answers, right? So that's why we do the why segment. Let's call it the why segment. Oh my God, I'm running out of time. There's 6 minutes to go. The next thing is I go into my story. And my story takes about 35 minutes to tell. Now, I can tell my story in 5 minutes, or I can tell it in 2 hours, or, you know, in the half-day workshop, it goes for about 35, maybe sometimes 40 minutes, just depends. Why I tell the story and I spend a bit more time in the story, it's not actually for them to get to know me, although one of the intentions is that. But I'm telling and taking them through the evolution of what has happened, how I've leveraged books, what are some of the things that you can do when you have a book, what are some of the mistakes I've made, the obstacles I've overcome, and also at the same time showing them and demonstrating that I walk my talk, right? And I show images. Most of my PowerPoint slides are actually images. I don't have many words on them. And those images just guide me through each of the steps through the presentation. This allows them to think about, you know, how big this can become, and also shows me that I'm a person of integrity, that I do as I say, and I've also made a ton of mistakes myself. Okay, so after the zero to hero story, so we'll call that the zero to hero segment. And throughout this zero to hero segment, of course, I'm demonstrating results and social proof and things like within the stories and the ideas. Now so then after the zero to hero story, I said this is the 3 things we're going to cover today. So remember, the brain loves 3s, and that's why I do 3 points, 3 learning outcomes in the workshop. And then we go into the first one, which is the book positioning. I teach it, then we demonstrate with someone in the room, and that seems to have been the most popular. Well, people have enjoyed getting involved, adding value to the person and masterminding as a group. So while we're doing the book unpack, I'm demonstrating what it's like to be in a group situation, learning and coming up with ideas, right? Thank you, Kitty. So you're coming up with ideas, and then I go, this is exactly why works so powerfully at our retreats, because we're in groups just like this, and everyone's pushing each other along and giving each other ideas and all that kind of stuff, and obviously developing wonderful relationships and collaborations. So at the same time, while we're doing this and they're loving it, I'm relating it back to what will happen in the future, what will happen. So I'm constantly, in a way, future pacing, without being really, like, I am intentional, but I'm not fake intentional. I kind of do this stuff because I believe in it so much, or say stuff because I believe in it so much. But in effect, that is seeding. I'm seeding along every single step of the way. We have a break, we come back, we talk about book publishing and the publishing industry. We talk about leverage the book. Now, don't get me wrong, the half-day event has evolved over the last 3.5 years since we've been running it. It has evolved, and now what it has is micro adjustments. So micro adjustments of when I say certain things. So initially you're like kind of so overwhelmed with what you need to deliver that you're not, you don't have room in your brain to think about other things. But when you've done it so many times before, like kind of the words are just coming out of your mouth almost as if it's a script. It's not. Yeah, I do it still with energy, with passion. I do it over 40 times a year. And Stuart has attended the early ones and then some of the ones in between. And of the late ones now in this year, he said, oh my God, it feels like, because I listen to it all the time, it feels like he says the similar things at every single, at stage. And I go, well, if something's working, don't change it, right? And even those participants who've been at my half day before and they've returned, and Kitty, you're one of them. I think you've been to 2 or 3 actually. Your first one where you signed up and 2 where you accrued. You always say I learn something new every time I come to it. Although you agree that, what I have delivered and how I've delivered is very similar to each other. For this year, and there you go, she's attended 4 this year. So I think the passion and the banter and maybe the jokes within the group and things that come up make it different, but really the content is exactly the same. And mastering that content can be that never-ending stream of prospects, clients, raving fans that you're developing, people who are going to refer others. Sometimes if people have not proceeded with my program, they may not have been in the room maybe for themselves, they've wanted to check me out or whatever, but then they've referred to me. Like this year we had 5 author referrals into our high-end program purely from people who are indirectly related. So they're not direct author referrals from our previous referrals, but people who are just watching and observing, go to Natasa, blah, 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 blah. So then you do your 3 steps. Now I learned in Adelaide last year around March, I actually decided to tell people the price of my program halfway through my Zero to Hero story. It was embedded and put in there in a way so it works out naturally. But so what I felt this did is release the pressure of people thinking, I wonder what this will cost, I wonder what this will cost, I wonder what this will cost, and at the end, you reveal it. Like this, what I noticed, revealing it in the first hour of a 4-hour workshop, it allowed people to stack the value of what I was saying after that point, going, oh, so this is what the investment includes. Oh, so this is what the investment would include. Even though I'm not selling at all, like pitching throughout the next 3 hours, I literally spend 5 minutes at the end of the 4 hours having my call to action to invite people to qualify if they want to progress to a retreat. And that's what I learned, that was really honest, upfront, authentic, and people loved it. And that was the feedback. And so I left it in there. I would say it. By the end of it, there's no secrets. They know exactly what it is. If I need to go into more detail, I will go into more detail. But really, it is the full presentation in a way is delivering value at the same time, while seeding that, of course, you want them to succeed in solving this problem, and to do that, the best and fastest route to save time and money would be to progress to do your program, whatever that is. So just to recap, as I know we're past 9:30, I hope this has been valuable. So the content delivery, how it goes, we're going, and please make sure you arrive at the venue. If you can be there more than an hour before people come for registration, not for the start of the workshop. I prefer to be at a venue at 7:30 for a 9 a.m. start. And I want to be set up, and at 8 o'clock, just be chilling out for the next half an hour, because people always will start to come a little bit earlier, and the early ones you'll build a lot more rapport with as well. So we've got the registration time, meet and greet, be there, do whatever you want, what suits you, but for me is make a great first impression and start building rapport ASAP. Then you've got your the why segment, then you've got your 0 to hero segment, then you've got your 3 things that you're going to teach, and if you can demonstrate and make it a little bit hands-on rather than talking at people, that's really awesome. And then you've got obviously your call to action at the end, and afterwards, as I say, I have my qualifying chat. So this is why taking Stuart on the road and my mum coming into the business next year is for us to be able to capture more people one-on-one at the end of the workshop. So instead of me being able to only qualify 4 people and being inundated with so many conversations, even beyond that, we can do 8 people. Our workshops range between 25 to 35, 40 people probably sometimes. Sometimes it can be less as well. It's all very different. But that's where we've been averaging 25 to 35 this year. And yeah, we've had 70% of people who want to have that one-on-one discussion afterwards. So you got to give people that time. We have found that works really well than selling it purely off the stage, because we need to obviously qualify them. We don't qualify everybody. 80% will qualify, 20 won't. 20 won't. So you're probably thinking, who doesn't qualify that? Well, those people who don't have a book idea, that we don't think they can leverage it. I think that I don't see the value in the program for them. The dickheads, they don't qualify. As you guys know, we have a no dickheads policy. So yeah, people that we feel are going to be more trouble than they're worth, and they're just not aligned with our values, and you just kind of have this gut feeling about them. Anyway, so that's I hope that has given you a little bit of an insider behind the scenes view of what a half day or an introductory teaser looks like that sells into a high-end program. If you guys want, I could talk about how to design your high-end program next week, next Monday, because a lot of people they might have a wonderful presentation, but then they don't sell their high-end because maybe it's not turned into like an absolute must-have, no-brainer. So that if that would be a value, then let me know. But in the meantime, if you do want to come and check out like how my half day operates, and just purely from a study perspective of all of these things that I just spoke about, I'm happy to post when I get off the live the link to next year's Australian tour. I think it's bit.ly/Australian tour, but I'll pop it in there. And of course, there's a USA tour as well. So I'll pop those 2 in there, and you guys can come and learn and just observe everything that I have said throughout it, and then model that. At the end of the day, it's all about modeling. Some of these aspects I have picked up purely I've invented them for myself, then I've watched other people how they do stuff, and I have picked different components from different people's presentation styles, and then obviously made it my own and just continued then making those micro adjustments. Have a wonderful Monday and the rest of the week. We're finalizing our mastermind program this Thursday for the 12 months that I've been spending at our home here. That's exciting, and I'm going on a retreat. One of my masterminders, Joy Fairhall, is having me 3 hours away from here to her retreat, so I look forward to that as well. In the meantime, tonight I'm at the White Christmas party in the city, so there's lots happening today, and Dubai's clock is ticking down in the lead up to their retreat. So have a wonderful week, smash it out, and let me know if there are content requests on what you'd like me to talk about in more depth. Then happy to bring it to you over the coming weeks. Bye guys.